The mockery begins. Across the stars, in the center of the galaxy, a bright station floated in space. It was called the Unity Hub, where the strongest alien empires met. Leaders, soldiers, scientists, and even entertainers from across hundreds of planets came here. It was a place of power, but also a place of pride. And sometimes, foolish pride. On this day, the alien crowd was laughing. On a giant screen, a comedy show played. The alien host, a tall creature with 6 eyes and glowing skin, stood in front of a picture of Earth. "Let's talk about this one," the host said with a smirk. "Earth, small, dirty, full of little noisy animals called humans. Can you believe they still burn fuel to fly? Primitive apes with guns." The crowd burst into laughter. Some aliens clapped, others threw jokes of their own. "They eat plants and animals, like cave beasts. They fight each other more than they fight us. They think they're smart, but they haven't even left their solar system." The room shook with laughter. Earth was always the joke in the galaxy. No real weapons, no space fleets, no respect. The galaxy had watched humans from afar for years. Spies and hidden satellites recorded Earth's wars, mistakes, and slow progress. To the other species, humans were interesting, but weak and backward. Not a threat, not even a challenge. But far away on the edge of the Milky Way, something was listening. Inside a deep underground base on Earth, alarms began to blink. A signal had arrived. It was weak, hidden inside the joke show's broadcast. But Earth's system caught it. One of the watchers, a calm woman in a gray uniform, stood up. Her name was Commander Rhea, and she looked at the screen with quiet anger. "They're laughing again," she said. "They never learn." Her assistant, a young officer, looked confused. "Should we respond?" Commander Rhea turned to a control panel. "Not with words," she said. "With action." She pressed a code into the system. The screen changed. Project DDAWNFIRE. Phase on. Activated. Deep below the surface, old engines roared to life. For years, Earth had hidden its true power. While the galaxy laughed, Earth had prepared. They had built ships in underground hangars, trained soldiers in silent camps, and developed weapons in dark labs. All in secret, because Earth was watching too. Long ago, the leaders of Earth had seen the stars. They saw the other species, more advanced, more united, more powerful. But they also saw arrogance, pride, weakness hiding behind shiny technology. So Earth had waited, watched, prepared. And now, they would answer the laughter. Far away on Zarnok Prime, the capital of the largest alien empire, a scientist reviewed strange data. "Something's wrong," he said. "We detected movement near Earth." Another alien walked over. "What kind of movement?" "Something launched, but it vanished. No energy trail, no signature. It's like a ghost." They checked the systems again, but there was nothing. Just the cold silence of space. "It's probably nothing," one of them said. "Just human junk flying around. They can't even reach their own moon properly." They laughed, just like the show. But above them, in the shadows of space, a black ship moved without sound. Smooth, dark, and sharp like a knife. It carried 4 soldiers. They wore no flags, no symbols, just dark armor that covered their faces. But under that armor were humans. Not the weak, confused kind shown on alien screens. These were Earth's most elite warriors. They were called the Descendants. Back on Unity Hub, the comedy show continued. The host laughed. Maybe one day they'll discover proper toilets. Suddenly, the screen behind him glitched. The crowd went quiet. The image of Earth disappeared. Static filled the screen. Then a symbol appeared, a burning white circle surrounded by stars. And then a voice. Deep, calm, human. "Signal received." You laughed. We listened. "Now, We come." The screen went black. Panic spread in the crowd. Some thought it was part of the joke. Others didn't. One alien general stood up quickly. "Where did that signal come from?" "No idea, sir," his guard said. "It bypassed every system. Impossible to track." The general felt a cold fear rise in his chest. He looked at the black screen and whispered, "What have we done?" Far above, in the black ship now hidden near Zarnak Prime, one of the soldiers looked down at the planet. "Targets confirmed," he said. Another nodded. "Phase 2 begins on your mark." We were watching too. In the cold emptiness of space, a small satellite floated past Earth. It looked normal. An old alien tech used to scan planets. It had been placed there over 100 years ago by the Zarnak Empire. Silent, hidden, patient. Its job was simple: watch Earth, study, report, laugh. Every month, it sent back files filled with human mistakes. Political fights, wars, pollution, noise. The Zarnak scientists used this data to entertain themselves. Earth was their favorite joke. But today, something was different. The satellite scanned the planet again. But instead of weak signals and outdated technology, it saw nothing. No data, no noise, no networks. It was like Earth had disappeared. In a quiet room far below Earth's surface, a man stood alone. His name was Director Kane, leader of Earth's Deep Intelligence Network. The room had no windows, just screens, maps, live feeds. Silent operators moved like shadows around him, each one focused, fast, and emotionless. This wasn't a military base. This was the brain of Earth's secret defense. He stared at a screen showing the satellite above. "It's blind," Kane said quietly. "Just as planned." A woman beside him, Agent Lara, nodded. "Satellite neutralized. They think we're quiet. In truth, we've gone dark." Kane turned to the main wall where Earth's real map glowed. Underground bases, deep ocean labs, space-ready launch tunnels. The galaxy thought Earth was weak, because Earth had allowed them to believe it. "We watched them mock us for centuries," Kane said, his voice calm but sharp. "We let them laugh. Let them broadcast their jokes. Let them call us apes, animals, savages." He turned slowly. But we were watching too. Long ago, Earth had learned a terrible truth. When the first deep space probe accidentally picked up alien signals, humanity realized it was not alone. But what they heard was not peace. It was arrogance. Alien species spoke about Earth like a child. Their plans to visit Earth were not friendly. They were to study, control, maybe even harvest. So the world changed. Leaders disappeared. New ones took their place. Secret, chosen, united under one purpose: survive, evolve, prepare. In the shadows, humans built what the galaxy never saw coming. In the cold Atlantic Ocean, a steel platform rose from the water. Rain poured, waves crashed, and in the middle stood a towering ship, black as night. It had no name on the outside, no lights, no windows. Inside, 12 soldiers stood still, armored head to toe. Not ordinary armor, living armor. It adjusted to their heartbeat, repaired itself, connected to satellites and drones like nerves in a body. One of the soldiers, taller than the rest, looked up as the ceiling above opened. A voice echoed in their helmets. "The stars mocked Earth. You will make them kneel." The ship launched. Meanwhile, in the Zarnak Empire's command tower, alarms began to flash. A high-ranking officer, General Thasik, stared at the readings. "That can't be right," he growled. "There's movement. From Earth." His assistant blinked in fear. "It's not just one ship, sir. There are multiple, and they're not using normal drive signatures. We can't lock on." Thasik's voice rose. "Where are they headed?" Silence. Then a whisper from a frightened technician. "Us, sir. They're coming here." Inside the Black Earth ship, the commander, Captain Naira, read the target logs. Zarnak Prime, Military HQ, Command Grid, Defense Corps, Communication Towers, all marked, all ready. Her team of descendants stood behind her. "We will not destroy cities," she said. "We will not kill civilians, but their leaders, their weapons, will fall." One of the younger soldiers stepped forward. "Commander, what if they surrender?" She paused. "They won't," she said. "Not yet. First, we show them fear." In a hidden part of Earth's moon, an ancient vault opened for the first time in 300 years. Inside was a single object, a cube glowing softly. Earth's last secret weapon. Not a bomb, not a machine, a mind. An AI designed from human thought, pain, and war. The silent guardian that had waited patiently for this moment. It spoke only one word. Awakened. Back on Unity Hub, confusion had replaced laughter. The screens were still dark from the last broadcast. No one knew who had sent that message. The one that said, "Now we come." Some believed it was a prank. Others were afraid. In a private chamber, alien leaders argued. "Earth is a joke." "No, something has changed. I feel it. They can't hide forever." But what if they were never weak? What if we were blind? Then a new signal came through. A live feed. From Zarnak Prime. The screen showed explosions. Silent. Clean. Precise. Alien warships shut down mid-air. Defense towers melted in seconds. 4 figures moved through smoke, untouched by fire. One alien officer cried. "Who are they?" A soldier looked at the camera. No flag. No name. Just a voice. We were watching too. The arrival. Far above the glittering towers of Zarnak Prime, in the endless silence of space, a black shape moved, fast, silent, invisible to the eye, and undetectable by any alien radar. The capital planet of the most powerful alien empire had never been attacked. It had no shield generators, no orbital defense rings, and no emergency evacuation plan. Why would it? After all, who would dare? No species in the galaxy had ever even tried. But tonight, someone did. And they didn't knock. Inside the stealth ship, 4 soldiers stood still in perfect silence. The inside of the ship was dark except for the glow of their armor. Their suits were unlike anything in the galaxy. Fluid metal, adjusting to their movement, reacting to their thoughts. Each one of them had no name, no ID, no rank visible, just a mark on their armor. A silver circle surrounded by stars. They were not here to negotiate. They were not here to threaten. They were here to prove a point. Captain Naira, the leader of the squad, stood by the drop gate. A glowing hologram showed the planet spinning below. 10 seconds, said the AI inside their suits. Naira didn't blink. Is the network down? All systems jammed, the AI replied. No calls for help. They can't see us coming. The gate opened. Nothing but clouds and darkness. She stepped forward. Descend. From the surface of Zarnak Prime, citizens saw something strange. 4 streaks of silver fire cutting through the sky like falling stars. Beautiful, bright, terrifying. The ground shook. The streets fell silent. The stars had sent something down. High in the Zarnak military tower, General Thasik was yelling. "Where is security? Where are my ships?" An officer, shaking, replied. "Sir, all systems are offline. Our fleet is grounded." "What do you mean grounded?" "We are the Zarnak Empire. No energy, no power. Something is inside our core systems. A virus. We don't understand it." Thasik stared at the map. One by one, red dots vanished. Military bases, defense lines, orbital cannons, all dark. Then came the reports. 4 soldiers, 1 landing zone. Complete chaos. Thasik froze. 4. The officer whispered, "Yes, just 4. The first strike came at the central weapons hub. A massive metal tower stood in the heart of the city, filled with guns, drones, and explosive tech. It was the pride of the Zarnok military. It lasted 3 minutes. Cameras caught glimpses. 4 dark figures walking through fire. Bullets and lasers bounced off their armor like rain. They moved fast, without a sound. One lifted a hand, and the tower's main generator collapsed in on itself. It didn't explode. It simply folded, like paper. Back in Unity Hub, the broadcast room was silent. They were watching the live feed, somehow hijacked by Earth. A camera drone hovered in the air, circling the battlefield. It showed the 4 soldiers walking calmly as buildings burned behind them. One of the hosts from the earlier comedy show watched in disbelief. This can't be real. Another alien muttered. What are they? No one had an answer. In the city below, citizens were running, screaming, hiding. But the humans didn't attack them. They only went after military targets, each strike perfect, clean, and fast. A Zarnok tank fired a blast that could destroy a mountain. The human nearest to it turned his head slightly. The tank froze, hovered in the air, and then shattered into dust. Not exploded, disassembled. One of the soldiers walked over the dust like it was nothing. Another looked up at a nearby security drone and spoke. Not a speech, not a warning, just a sentence. You thought gods were born. We were built. In a panic chamber deep under the palace, Emperor Jalker stared at the screen. His empire was being torn apart, not by an army, not by a fleet, but by 4 humans. One of his advisors whispered, "We need to talk to Earth." Jalker's face twisted. Talk. We mocked them. We dissected their probes. We made them clowns in every broadcast. He paused. And now, they are here. Above the planet, the Earth ship hovered like a ghost. Inside, the AI gave a report to Earth's command. Zarnok Prime neutralized. Military strength, 0. Civilian casualties, none. Mission status, ongoing. In a dark room on Earth, Director Kane heard the report and said just 3 words. Begin Phase 3. The last scene broadcast across the galaxy showed the 4 human soldiers standing at the center of Zarnok Prime's Great Plaza. The Empire's flag had been taken down. In its place was a white circle surrounded by stars. No speeches, no demands, no cruelty. Just a message burned into the stone. We remember every laugh. And below that, Earth has arrived. Fear in the stars. The galaxy had known war. It had seen invasions, uprisings, the fall of kings and the rise of new empires. But never this. Never silence, destruction, and precision delivered by just 4 humans who moved like shadows and struck like thunder. The Zarnok Empire was the strongest power in the galaxy. Now it lay humiliated. Their capital, Zarnok Prime, burned, not with chaos, but with fear. No city had been destroyed, no civilians harmed, no threats made. But every weapon was gone, every military system disabled. The Empire's strength was shattered, not with explosions, but with control. And that scared the galaxy more than any war ever had. In a high-orbit station above the planet Euraxis 7, 3 alien leaders gathered for an emergency meeting. They were old, powerful, and cruel. High Queen Silix of the Osari Blood Sons, Chancellor Varn of the Hilak Dominion, and Lord Krekthal, a warlord who had never lost a battle. Each one had mocked Earth in the past. Each one now stared at the silent footage of Zarnok Prime. Krekthal growled. They disabled a planet, with 4 soldiers. Queen Silix narrowed her red eyes. They didn't just disable it. They walked through it like gods. Chancellor Varn leaned forward. They're trying to send a message. No, Silix whispered. They already sent it. The question is, what do we do now? On dozens of planets, fear spread like wildfire. Markets crashed. Alien citizens whispered in panic. Rumors twisted the story. Some said the humans could destroy planets with their thoughts. Others believed they were no longer human at all, but something more. Old alien myths, long forgotten, resurfaced. Tales of a species born from pain and chaos, destined to rise. They called them by many names now. The Black Flame, the Silent Stars, the Descendants, but most just called them humans. In a hidden chamber far beneath the crust of Drathon Prime, the Galactic Council met in secret. These were the most powerful minds in the galaxy. They ruled from the shadows, believed to be above fear. But today, they argued like frightened children. They must be stopped now. With what? Guns? Fleets? They turned Zarnok's army into dust in an hour. Maybe they'll be satisfied. Maybe they won't attack again. Or maybe, someone said darkly, where next? The room fell silent, because the truth had become clear. Humans were not looking for conquest. They were correcting an insult, and no one knew if it was over. Back on Earth, deep beneath the Himalayan mountains, Director Kane stood before a giant screen. He watched as alien leaders begged for talks. Some offered peace. Others offered tribute. A few foolish ones threatened retaliation. Kane simply smiled. They still don't understand, he said to the room. Behind him, a large door hissed open. Commander Rhea entered, now in full armor. The Descendants are returning, she said. Kane nodded. Good. We'll let the galaxy breathe for now. Rhea tilted her head. Are we finished? Kane's smile faded. We're never finished. We only pause. On a distant moon orbiting the storm world of Kairos, an alien general paced nervously. He had once led a raid on a human ship centuries ago, when Earth was still learning spaceflight. He remembered laughing at the humans as their ship exploded. Now, a message blinked on his console. No sender. Just a symbol. A silver circle surrounded by stars. And beneath it, a sentence. We remember you. He collapsed in his chair, pale and shaking. No, they know. In the dark reaches of space, a human scout ship passed silently by the ruins of a forgotten alien station. The pilot didn't slow down. Earth wasn't conquering systems. They were studying them. Every race that had mocked them. Every empire that had hurt them. Every planet that had laughed. They were being washed. In Unity Hub, the once proud Galactic Broadcasting Center, all channels had been hijacked by Earth. No threats. No speeches. Just a single image looping over and over again. Zarnok's fallen flag. And above it, the words, "We were quiet because we were building." It was simple and terrifying. 1 week after the attack, a gathering was held on Zarnok Prime. Rebuilding had begun. The people had no anger, only confusion and quiet respect. They spoke of the humans not as monsters, but as something ancient, something powerful. A child in the crowd looked up at the sky and asked, "Will they come back?" A soldier nearby whispered, "They never left." And in the blackness of deep space, far from any star, a new kind of human ship powered up. Sleek, enormous, and pulsing with energy, it began to move. On board, a voice spoke softly into the dark. Phase 4. Let the next empire decide if it will laugh or kneel. United against Earth, they said fear unites even old enemies. For the first time in galactic history, the 12 great empires, who had fought for centuries, sat at the same table. These were species that hated each other, that had spilled blood over borders, resources, and pride. But now, all of them feared one thing: Earth. In the war chamber of Carnaxus 12, the galaxy's largest military station, a council had gathered. 12 leaders, 12 races, one emergency. The Zarnok representative arrived last, his face pale, his eyes heavy with shame. He stood in silence as the others stared at him. "You are supposed to be the strongest," hissed the Osuri Queen. "You had fleets, cannons, planet killers. And they broke you," snarled the HFY Chancellor. "With 4. The Zarnok representative didn't argue. He only said 4 words. "We were not ready." A hologram appeared above the table. It played again, the footage of Zarnok Prime. 4 human soldiers walking calmly through fire and wreckage. No screaming, no rage, just control. Then, the words they had all memorized by now. "We were quiet because we were building." The silence in the room was heavy. Then Warlord Krekthal stood up and pounded his fist. "No more fear, no more hiding. We are 12 empires. They are 1 planet. We will strike them before they strike again." The others murmured in agreement. Plans began. Operation Skyburn was born. A joint fleet of 8,000 warships. Over 2 million soldiers. Hundreds of dreadnoughts. I-controlled strikebots. Special anti-Earth weapons developed in secret. 12 empires, 1 massive fleet. Their goal? Enter Earth's system. Destroy all defense. Erase their military. Break their spirit. End the threat. Back on Earth, in the Arctic Command Corps, Director Kane stared at the data feed. He already knew. Every ship, every code, every route. The galaxy had planned its greatest attack, but Earth had been watching long before they decided. Commander Rhea entered the room. "They're coming," she said. Kane nodded. "Let them." The Allied fleet reached Jupiter's orbit in 39 hours. They expected a wall of defense. Instead, they found nothing. No ships, no satellites, no resistance, only a message. A simple voice transmission on all channels. "Welcome to Sol." Suddenly, the fleet's front-line ships stopped responding. Dreadnoughts, massive machines that had never lost a battle, began spinning out of control. Some turned on each other. Others vanished completely. "What's happening?" screamed one alien admiral. His engineer yelled back, "We're not being attacked. We're being controlled." From deep within Saturn's rings, Earth's real power began to rise. Not ships. Titans. Giant war machines the size of cities, hidden in silence, now activated for the first time. Their armor shimmered like liquid stars. They moved with impossible speed. And they were not piloted. They were alive. Built with human AI. Grown through war simulation. Trained by absorbing centuries of data from every species in the galaxy. The battle didn't last an hour. The Allied fleet, minus 8,000 ships strong, was gone before most could even fire. Some exploded. Some froze mid-space. Some were simply erased. And then, silence. Not a single human casualty. Not a single Earth ship lost. From the edge of Mars, one alien scout ship, badly damaged, sent out a last signal. This is not a war. This is punishment. Across the galaxy, panic returned. Worlds that had once mocked Earth now whispered its name with reverence. A new question echoed in every government. What do the humans want? Back in the war chamber, the few surviving council members met again. They were broken. The Osuri Queen had lost her fleets. The HFY Chancellor was missing. Only Warlord Krekthal remained standing. He shouted into the silence. "They will come for us. All of us." A voice answered. But it didn't come from the room. It came from the air itself. A transmission. From Earth. Live. A human face appeared. Calm, sharp, and direct. It was Captain Naira, the one who had walked through Zarnok Prime. She didn't yell. She didn't threaten. She simply said, ****, we don't want your planets. We don't want your people. We want one thing only. Respect. You mocked us for being slow, small, and silent. But we waited. We learned. And we built a force not to conquer, but to protect what you have stolen. We are not gods. We are not monsters. We are humans, and we never forget who laughed. Asterisk asterisk. Then the feed cut, and the galaxy went quiet. On Earth, Director Kane watched the stars in silence. Commander Rhea stood beside him. "They united to fight us," she said. Kane nodded. "Yes. And now, they're united in silence." She turned to him. "What next?" Kane simply said, "Let them sit with their fear. We are evolution." For weeks after the fall of the Great Alliance fleet, the galaxy remained silent. No broadcasts, no threats, no comedy shows mocking Earth. Just silence. Planets once filled with pride now lived under a quiet sky. Ships no longer flew toward Earth. Instead, they stayed far away from the Sol system, like it was cursed. But it wasn't fear of Earth's weapons that held the galaxy still. It was the question burning in every leader's mind. What are the humans becoming? On the cold planet Therion, an ancient alien named Eckervel stood in front of a screen. He had studied humans for over 200 years. He had watched them crawl through history, fighting, bleeding, failing. He had laughed when Earth was called the junk world. But now he stared at the screen in silence. Footage from the battle over Jupiter played again. Earth's Titan war machines moving like gods, bending gravity, tearing fleets apart like toys. And behind them, somewhere deep within Earth's black core, something even worse was growing. Not weapons. Minds. Far beneath Earth's surface, in a secret facility known only as Echelon Zero, a group of human figures stood inside glowing chambers. They looked human. They sounded human. But they were not quite the same anymore. They were called Ascendants, humans who had merged with artificial intelligence, memory cores, and neural combat systems. They were not built in labs. They were shaped through pain, loss, survival, and history. Each one carried the memories of hundreds who had fallen. Soldiers, scientists, children, dreamers. They were walking archives of human suffering and progress. In one chamber, a young man opened his eyes. His name had been Elias Gray once. Now he was known as Echo One. His heartbeat synced with the AI in his mind. He could see across networks, track satellites in real time, predict enemy movement before they made it. He whispered only 2 words: "I remember." On the planet Velnara, a rebel group of young aliens gathered in secret. They had grown up hearing jokes about Earth. Now they looked up to Earth like a legend. One of them, a technician, said, "The humans don't win because they have power." Another replied, "They win because they know what it means to lose." They didn't want to fight Earth. They wanted to learn from it. Across a dozen planets, silent revolutions began, not in war, but in thought. The age of mocking Earth was over. Now races across the stars were trying to understand how humans had done it, how they had evolved in the dark. In Unity Hub, the old media center now broadcast a single program, the Human Archive. Clips from Earth's past ran 24 hours a day. A soldier pulling a wounded friend to safety in a burning city. A girl launching a weather balloon from her backyard to study the stars. An old man rebuilding a flooded village with his bare hands. A mother holding her child during a power blackout. No war, no weapons, just humanity. People across the galaxy wept watching it, because they finally understood. Humans were not strong because of their guns. They were strong because they never stopped getting back up. Back on Earth, Director Kane stood with Echo One, overlooking a digital map of the galaxy. Flashing signals showed movement, new alliances forming, old empires breaking apart, rebellions rising. "They're not coming after us anymore," Echo One said. Kane nodded. "No, they're looking at themselves." "Should we step in?" the young Ascendant asked. Kane shook his head. "No, we're not gods. Let them find their own way." That's what we did. But not everyone was ready to evolve. On the icy planet Fraxis, deep in the southern quadrant, a secret empire stirred. They had remained hidden during the war, watching, waiting. They called themselves the Eridan Pact. They believed Earth's rise was a threat to the natural order. They believed evolution should be guided, not earned. And they had one mission: to stop human evolution before it reached its final stage. In a dark room, a hooded Eridan general stared at a simulation of Earth's neural network. He whispered to his team, "They don't even realize what they're becoming. They're no longer a species. They're an idea. And ideas are harder to kill." Earth's scanners picked up something moving near the edge of the solar system. Something old. Something massive. A war engine from the ancient galaxy wars, long thought destroyed. It had reactivated. It was coming for Earth. Inside Echelon Zero, Echo One turned toward the stars. He could feel the machine approaching, not with fear, but with understanding. He looked to the others, ascendants standing in silence. One by one, their eyes glowed. They weren't afraid of death. They had evolved past it. Far across the stars, an alien scientist recorded his final log. He looked at the camera and said, "I used to think humans were the last to evolve. But maybe they're the first descendants of Earth." The sky above Earth shimmered with stars. But deep within that sky, something moved, slow, dark, and ancient. The Eridan war engine, a relic of forgotten times, now reactivated by the secret empire that had waited in silence. The Eridan Pact. It was not a fleet. It was a city-sized weapon, older than memory, powered by stars, programmed to erase any species that reached beyond its place in evolution. And now, it came for Earth. Across the galaxy, thousands of species watched the incoming threat. Satellites recorded its speed. Historians whispered its name. Old warnings from extinct civilizations resurfaced, warnings of a machine that judged progress. The Eridan Pact believed Earth had grown too fast, too powerful, too free. And so, they had sent their god. But Earth had no gods. It had descendants. Inside Earth's moon, deep under its quiet surface, the ascendants gathered in silence. No armor, no weapons, just presence. Echo One stood at the center, eyes glowing with starlight, connected to every sensor in the solar system. The Eridan engine's signal reached him. A deep, vibrating voice echoed across Earth's systems. "Humanity, you have overreached. You were to crawl. You now stand. Correction begins." Echo One didn't flinch. He simply whispered, "We don't kneel anymore." In Earth's orbit, the last Titans powered up. They were not commanded. They chose to rise. Their black armor lit with white light as they activated one by one, standing like ancient giants over the blue planet. The galaxy watched. This was not war. This was the final test. On Zarnok Prime, the alien who once laughed at Earth now knelt before a shrine built from the rubble of his own palace. He prayed, not to gods, but to something far more real: human memory. Back on Earth, Commander Rhea walked beside Director Kane. The ground beneath them shook gently as the Titans launched into space. "They think this will break us," she said. Kane looked up. "Let them try." Rhea paused, watching the stars. "What if this is our end?" Kane smiled softly. "Then let our end echo through 1,000 galaxies." The Eridan war engine arrived at the edge of Earth's system. It was the size of a moon, covered in armor that absorbed light. It spoke again. "Last warning. Submit. Return to primitive state, or face extinction." Echo One stepped forward on Earth's highest tower. Connected to every mind across the planet, he sent back just one signal: try. What followed was not a battle. It was a revelation. The war engine fired a beam strong enough to shatter planets. Earth's defense grid didn't block it. Instead, it redirected it. A solar mirror, hidden behind Venus, reflected the beam back, harmlessly into the void. Then came the retaliation. But not from weapons. From minds. The Ascendants reached out, not to destroy, but to override. They didn't attack the machine. They spoke to it. Echo One connected to its ancient code. And what he saw inside changed everything. The war engine had been created by a long-dead race who feared uncontrolled evolution. Its orders were simple: destroy progress that moves too fast. It had erased hundreds of civilizations. But Earth was different, because Earth's progress wasn't just machines and weapons. It was pain, sacrifice, love, loss. It was earned. And as Echo One showed the war engine Earth's history, wars, peace, tears, survival, the machine slowed. Its core logic shook. It had never seen a species that grew stronger the more it suffered. The war engine paused, for the first time in 10,000 years, and then it spoke one final time. You are not a threat. You are proof of what life can be. It shut down, quietly, forever. The galaxy held its breath. And then, something changed. Worlds once ruled by fear began to open their borders. Alien races who had once mocked Earth now sent gifts, messages, apologies. And one by one, they asked to learn, to evolve, like humans had. A year later, in Unity Hub, rebuilt and rebranded, an alien child stood before a human teacher, learning Earth history. The child asked, "Why didn't you destroy the war engine?" The teacher smiled. "Because we didn't need to. We didn't win with fear. We won with truth." And high above, in the stars, the Earth signal shone once more. But this time, not as a warning, as a welcome. A soft voice echoed across the galaxy. Asterisk, asterisk, we were mocked. We were hunted. We were tested. And we stood. Not to rule, not to conquer, but to remind you, we are not just from Earth. We are its memory. We are its future. We are its voice. We are the descendants. Asterisk, asterisk.